Hey everybody, Josh here from sunny Massachusetts. I'm really excited to say that Root Homeland is not only done, but it's being produced right now. Everything has been approved and the factories are cranking away at it. So today I'm really excited to show you all of the stuff. Um, Given that I'm in Massachusetts, for those of you who don't know, I'm one of the Leader Games people that actually isn't in St. Paul. Um, I have worked remotely with Leader kind of since the beginning, and that is still true. So, using the magic of technology, Matt Martins, our excellent community manager, videographer extraordinaire, is going to be showing you some really beautiful, clear, well lit video of all of the stuff in the expansion while I kind of talk through it. I have my own right here, but I promise that you don't want me just sort of holding this up to the webcam and going, "Ooh, look how pretty that is." So let's get on with it. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in this suite of root expansion content. Content. That's what you love, right? The content. Um, there's a lot of stuff in this product line. This is probably our most packed one yet. Sorry, Anne, our production manager, for putting so much stuff in all of these boxes. Really packed these ones tight. Um, let's kind of start from the big stuff, right? Let's start with the big expansion. We've got three new factions. We've got some new maps. Just really a ton of stuff here. You may have seen some of these meeples before, but let's just lay out all of that juicy new wood stuff. So we've got our bats, frogs, we got our knaves, we've got our new knave captains. You may notice if you looked at some of our earlier live streams, the bat meeples, they're actually a little bit different. They've been the same for a while, so if you've been following along the whole way, they haven't changed again or anything like that. But you will notice that the eyes have changed a little bit. They're no longer the little points. They're now kind of fuller eyeballs. So the bats have changed a little bit over time. The other stuff, though, generally has stayed the same. The goose actually as well. The goose captain on the knaves. You'll notice that we also made some minor changes to the line work and coloration, just so that it kind of presents itself as a goose, kind of more obviously. Some of you early on were like, "Is that what's going on here?" So we took that into account and made some changes, and now everything looks really, really great. All right. So what have we got next? We have a bunch of nice, big, chunky landmarks to talk about. So we've got three new landmarks in this expansion. We've got Rabbit Town, Mousehold, and Foxborough. The idea behind these is that you can use these, on any map. You can use landmarks on any map, but they are made specifically for the marsh map. The marsh map, as you might know, is a 15 clearing map where if you have a lot of players, if you have 5 players or more, you can kind of use a larger map. And these landmarks, basically, they serve a dual purpose. They're both acting as clearing markers. These landmarks are all suited. So we've got a fox, a bunny, and a mouse. But the other thing that they do is that they help to kind of connect the map more. We wanted to make sure that with a map this large, that all of the players still kind of felt like they could interact with each other. So Foxborough is kind of the main example here, where Foxborough essentially connects all of the fox clearings to Foxborough. It lets you kind of look at the map through the eyes of the fox suit and adds this additional layer of connection on top of just the basic map geometry. All of these landmarks basically make you think about the suitedness of clearings and how those clearings interconnect. We're kind of layering on these different types of suit connection on top of the basic map layout. But speaking of the marsh map, let's talk a little bit about the maps. So we've got two great new maps, and they turned out really great. So we've got the marsh map here. The marsh map was originally designed by Patrick Leader, and the other side, the gorge map, by our wonderful fan community member, Lord of the Board, Sam Smith. I'll talk a little bit about the gorge map. Gorge map, it ended up being quite an interesting and wonderful challenge. You'll notice that this map, it's the first time that we're doing a rather than a um, top-down view, a fully top-down view. We're doing quite a tilted view. And the reason for that is because with the gorge, there's quite a bit of depth in this map. And so Kyle had the additional challenge of this time of drawing a new map perspective in a way that gave that sense of depth, while also we had to make sure that the map still read clearly. So a lot of work went into little things like edge highlighting around the bridges on this map and the dam to help define those and show like where clearings were separated, and things like the specific ways that the breaking of the ground near where the gorge starts, that those like ground breaks didn't change people's interpretation of how you could move between clearings or where forests were, or there's all sorts of usability and playability questions that you have to consider when you're doing a more three-dimensional map like this. So this one ended up being a very interesting challenge, and came out lovely as well. The arid nature of this map really sets it apart from everything that we've done before as well. And then the last thing that we should really talk about in the Homeland expansion, let's talk a little bit about some of the like quasi secret cool quality of life stuff that we've included in this expansion. So yeah, we've got our new factions, we've got our new maps, we've got landmarks, we've got all that cool stuff. And then hidden in the depths of the punch board, and described in the rulebook, of course, we've got a couple nice little things to talk about. The first thing are all of these little reminder markers that we've got. What these are used for is if you've ever played Root, you've probably run into this issue where you've crafted some cards, they're giving you some abilities, and it gets to your turn, and you just forget that you have it, even though the card is like literally right there next to your board. What these do, these reminder markers, they're just optional, helpful things where you can just put these right by the part of the turn that those abilities apply to. So if you have something that applies at the start of your bird song, for example, you can just take one of these markers and just pop it right by your bird song. And that is just a helpful way to remind yourself as you're going through your board, like, oh, right, I have an ability that I can use. So that's the first thing. And the second, probably more exciting thing, is we have included a new set of dice. And so we've got this nice, like midnight blue with some pearlescent coloring, sort of reminiscent of like, we played with a lot of like Twilight Council inflected dice themes, and this one came out on top. And then I suppose the we didn't keep the most exciting thing for last, but this is something that I should also talk about. The other thing that we include in this box for quality of life are some card erratas. So over the course of Root's life, we have added more stuff. Obviously, we're adding more stuff right now. We've added more stuff. We've also done some like terminology cleanup over time with things like the force term, for like making enemy stuff do things. And so over time, some cards they need to be reworked a little bit, not to like change the way that they actually worked. The cards they all work the same, like in the broad strokes, but we've changed some language both to update it to modern terminology in root and to make sure that they're like fully compatible with like all of our hirelings that we've released and things like that. So like one kind of clear cut example that I can give you is if you look at like the tunnels card that we've included, we've basically changed this ability to explicitly say that you're ignoring paths when you're making this movement. This card really needs to make it clear that, like, yes, thematically you can intuit that they're not going on the path above ground, they're going below ground, and so they would probably avoid the bandits, but we want to make it clear, obviously, in the rules that you are, in fact, ignoring the paths. And so it's true with a lot of these cards. Like this is all stuff that like generally is intuitive and like nothing is really changing in terms of the way that they're working. But we just wanted to make sure that like we included the latest terminology and terminology that helped everything kind of fit together very nicely. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. So that's the big stuff. That's the Homeland Expansion. So let's go into some of the smaller products, smaller stuff. So we have our Homeland Hirelings pack. Similar to earlier hirelings packs, we've got hirelings for most of our factions in the Homeland expansion. We have hirelings for the Diaspora, the Frogs, and the Council, the Bats. And we also have these adorable, adorable little ducks. So this is one of the few places where what we show you here is actually slightly different from the final stuff that you'll receive. The final copy that you'll receive, it's actually in a very nice, pleasant sort of forest green, kind of an off green color. So that's our Hirelings pack. We have our Squires and Disciples deck. This was something that I really, really loved working on when I was in a rut on one of the factions, which, if you're following my design diaries, you know that I got into a lot of ruts, especially with the bats. This was always a great place to go back to because there was always room for just like a small improvement somewhere, or just a small tweak, or um, playing with crazy ideas. Like decks are really nice because like every idea can be very self-contained and you don't need to worry quite as much about like how one small change is going to like ripple through the entire rest of the system. Like with a faction design, a small tweak can really affect everything else about the faction, but that's just not true when you get to cards. And so we've shown these a number of times before, but like they came out really beautifully. Kyle's art is, as always, just super wonderful. I love this deck for how much more like crazy combo energy it brings to Root in some ways. Like I love that factions that aren't normally crafting are crafting more. I love that you can, maybe like pull off some more dominance plays that you couldn't have before. I just really wanted like factions to do like kind of fundamentally different things from what they could before, in a way that that didn't need too much kind of like turning off energy. So our previous deck, Exiles and Partisans, which I also worked on and love, like has all of these really cool, big kind of status effect, persistent ability stuff. But it also is so out there that it needed some cards to turn that stuff off, in case things got out of control. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really happy with how this deck came out. I love the that this deck lets you do like crazy combo energy and really lets factions just do stuff that they weren't really interested in before. Factions being able to craft more stuff, first of all. Just a really low crafting cost kind of deck. Cards that let you do dominance plays in ways that weren't accessible before. I just kind of wanted, with this deck, really what I wanted to do was unlock more parts of just the base systems for more factions. Um, so I'm just really really happy with how that came out. Um, and yeah, always provided me with a little bit of a safe haven for playing with ideas when I felt kind of stuck and overwhelmed with a particular faction. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the clearing markers. Last stuff here to talk about. So we've got our Deluxe clearing markers. If you have our clearing markers that we've released before, it's the same thing. It's basically the same thing. The only real difference here, which is kind of hard to show through video, but it's easier if you touch them. The only real difference here is that these are made out of injection molded plastic rather than resin. That means that they are way more impact resistant. One problem that some people ran into with the resin was, even though they were great, they served their purpose and are beautiful. If you drop one, it might shatter, which is not great. So these are much more impact resistant, much more resilient to a box jostling around a whole lot. And then we have our frog markers. So out of all of the things in this whole suite of stuff, these frog clearing markers probably probably took the longest to like get right. Just in terms of like making them. We had lots and lots of back and forth with our great sculptor. We went through tons of whole different designs. If you kind of look back at the crowdfunding page, you'll see that uh, before we had a clearing marker design that kind of like fully encased the clearing marker beneath it. Um, and over time, we kind of recognized that like it just didn't really look that good. There wasn't really a way to make it look good. And specifically look like grounded in like the world of Root. So you'll notice that with all of the regular clearing markers, they all have these nice kind of like these motifs. We have rocks or bricks or a fence, and that feels very like, oh, that's like a thing in the worlds. And with the encompassing the original frog clearing marker design, there were just all of these strange like gaps. You would like look at it from specific angles and you could see these like weird gaps that really pulled you out of like the aesthetic and the grounded aesthetic of the piece. And so we kind of went back to the drawing board completely. Like after we were basically done with the sculptor, we had to go back and say, sorry, we're gonna completely redo this now. So this took kind of a really, really long time to get right, but we're really happy with how things turned out. I think that Kyle called these like the spooning version. And yeah, this version allowed us to kind of again do this sort of grounding with the design. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Regardless of whether this is the first time you're tuning in or whether you've been here since the beginning, this project has been just so wonderful to work on. This is the first time that I was a project lead at the studio, which, as you might imagine, was both exciting and very intimidating. There were certainly some long, dark nights of the soul where I was like, are the bats ever going to be good? Um, but with a lot of help and encouragement and um, so many wonderful people, both in the studio and out, uh, I'm just so happy with how things turned out. And it's been wonderful seeing people at conventions getting their hands on this for the first time, seeing their eyes light up as they, play with the meeples and read all of the cool new stuff that they get to play with. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this get into everybody's hands to share in that joy. So thank you so much once again, and have a wonderful January.